Insurance support is not insurance approval. Those phrases can look similar on a provider page, but they do not mean the same thing. A provider may help with a few process steps: benefits review, prior authorization paperwork, or communication with the insurance plan. That can be useful, but in plain English, it is still help with the process, not a yes from your plan. Your plan decides what happens next, and the final cost may still be unknown until the provider and insurance steps are complete. In Find My GLP-1, the Insurance Help checkbox narrows the page to providers that mention this kind of help. After that, I still open Review Details. In this demo example, Northstar Weight Care gives me 3 things to read carefully: insurance support language, pharmacy review language, and limits. I would read those as notes about the process, not proof that your plan has approved anything. When a provider says they offer insurance support, it may mean a few different things. It might mean benefits review. It might mean paperwork help. It might mean prior authorization information. Or it might mean communication with the plan. That may be helpful, but it still does not answer your plan-specific coverage question. The answer can still change because of prior authorization, exclusions, copays, pharmacy processing, savings programs, or availability. That is why a public comparison may not be able to show your personal out-of-pocket price. So I use that checkbox only as a starting point. If insurance help matters, I turn it on. Then I open Review Details and look for 3 things. What does the provider actually say they help with? What do they avoid promising? And what still depends on my plan? The bigger point is why some GLP-1 prices stay unknown. Northstar Weight Care is an example where the price can depend on the shopper's insurance plan because insurance is part of the equation. Cedarline Health is different here. Its public details are not clearly published. Both of these offers need verification, but for different reasons. That does not make the comparison useless. It just means public information has a limit. Here is what not to do when comparing. One provider shows a clear public cash pay estimate. Another says insurance support, but final cost depends on the plan. Those are not the same kind of prices. You can still compare how someone might pay, what help is described, and what information is public. But you should not pretend the final cost is equally known across those offers. Before relying on insurance support, check the provider's current process. Start with what the provider helps submit to insurance. Then ask whether they handle prior authorization. After that, check what happens if coverage is denied. Also check separate membership or visit fees and where the medication is filled. Finally, confirm your own plan details through your insurance provider or the provider's own process. Find My GLP-1 can organize public provider information, but it cannot verify individual benefits. The checklist keeps a public comparison from turning into a personal coverage assumption. Use the Find My GLP-1 comparison page in 4 simple steps. Use the Insurance Help checkbox if that matters. Compare what each provider publishes. Read the limits and fine print. Look for last verified. Then, treat the provider page and your insurance plan as the final source for your specific cost. I would also pause at check eligibility. In this demo, it is not a real checkout. On a provider site, it marks the boundary before provider verification. The goal is not to make insurance simple. The goal is to avoid mistaking insurance support for insurance approval. Clear details help. Missing details matter too. Your plan answer still has to be checked outside the public comparison. The short version is this: insurance support can be helpful, but it can still depend on the plan, the paperwork, and the final pharmacy price. Use Find My GLP-1 to compare public insurance support details, then verify the current process before checkout. If you are just starting, use the 5-cost checklist to separate the different kinds of prices before checkout, or use the playlist if you want the full provider comparison series.